The Lion King is a miracle of modern filmmaking. I mean, it's a 2 decades plus year old film. So does that count as modern? Who's to say? But so much of what makes that film great was a result of right place, right time filmmaking, coupled with some really clever creative decisions, with a lot of these ramifications echoing into modern film. It's a formula that cannot be replicated. I mean, technically it can be replicated, but it remains to be seen whether this is a carbon copy or brings something entirely new to the table, other than, a cast update and some modern visuals. To understand whether or not this can be done, let's head back to the original to figure out how the hell they pulled this off in the first place. 1994's The Lion King started somewhat differently to how it turned out. It was actually thought of by those at Disney as the B project, with the real work being done over at Pocahontas, which in my opinion, crap film. Lindsay Ellis has a great video, linked below, on why this is the case. I don't have the time or the inclination to get into it, especially when somebody already has, and it's much better than anything I could make. So whilst the Disney A team was painting with all the colours of the wind, the B team was chipping away at breaking the back of this story, framed as Bamblet, that's Bambi, and Hamlet, but in Africa, with lions. The general consensus was, wait, why are we doing this? That being said, the B team took this opportunity and ran with it. There was no reason not to give this project a red hot go. Plus also, if people did move across to Pocahontas, they'd no doubt be working under more experienced creators, rather than making their own decisions. The story evolved over time, shifting in look, central themes, and character origins. Originally, Scar was imagined as a rogue lion, but it was thought he'd be a more compelling threat if he came from within the pride, which in turn would add more weight to the narrative. And Simba, well, he was a white lion, but that was swiftly changed because, well, who knows why? Certainly not me. Heck, it wasn't even supposed to be a musical initially. It was at one point envisioned as this kind of National Geographic piece before Tim Rice was approached and asked if this could be a musical. His response was, yeah, well, anything can be a musical. And for good or bad, that certainly remains to be true. Tim Rice said, I'm going to take this to Elton John. Maybe he can help. At Disney were all, you may as well be trying to build a rocket, man. He's not going to help you write your song. This idea will be snuffed out. I guess that's why they call it the blues. Because up until this point, name artists didn't really do animated movies. Disney movies, sure, were known somewhat for their music. Not all, but a lot of them.
Shanghai, Hong Kong, ik fu yang. Fortune cookie, always wrong. That's a hot one.
But nothing with an artist of this scale. Lo and behold though, he was like, yeah, I'll do it. So he did. Tim Rice wrote the lyrics, and Elton did the music-y bits, or like the plink-plonk of a piano. So they created 5 songs over 2 years. Circle of Life, I Just Can't Wait to Be the Lion King, Be Prepared for Me to Be the Lion King, Hakuna Matata, Forget About Being the Lion King, and Can You Feel the Love Tonight? Lion King. It's not uncommon now to reach out to a famous musician for an animated film. I mean, we've got Phil Collins on Tarzan, Lin-Manuel Miranda for Moana. Shakira did a Zootopia song, I'm fairly confident. I didn't look it up. But then, it was very unusual to ask someone like Elton John. And it was even more unusual that he said, yeah, alright. Hans Zimmer took care of these stunning instrumental numbers, and whilst every song on the Lion King soundtrack is iconic and memorable, and individually would be the highlight of a lesser movie, the most famous musical moment is probably this. We all know it because we've all tried to replicate it, but it's always bad. I'm not going to stop anyone from doing it, but just so you know, everyone sucks at this. Composer Lebo M was made responsible, for lack of a better term, for putting the African music stuff in this movie being made predominantly by white Americans. The opening song is made all the more greater by the visuals, and what's amazing is, originally, the film was going to open with a dialogue scene. This sequence turned out so good that it was thought, well, it's all downhill after that, we've peaked in the opening minutes, but that forced the rest of the film to match those initial expectations that were set. And obviously you can see why this was the sequence chosen in the trailer for the remake. The visuals though in general take direct inspiration from East Africa, with a team of creators spending 2 weeks there, taking in the sights, seeing animals in their natural environment, and simple things like drinking in the colour palette. And as someone who has taught and lived in East Africa, I tell you it's pretty dead on. That's not me bragging about my extensive and enlightening world experiences, but here's me and Claire on top of Kilimanjaro. Here's me eating some kind of porridge the day before the summit of Kilimanjaro. It's less impressive, yes, I should have opened with this one and then the summit thing. Here's me and a local guide, laughing that somebody graffitied on a rock a rude picture of a giraffe. And here's Claire and I at the Eiffel Tower. That was a different trip and year, but the point is, I've traveled and experienced so much. But it's not a big deal, don't even worry about it. This idea though to capture the environment visually sets this film apart from other Disney animated films. The original idea though for the look was to make it more stylized, with traditional African patterns to make up much of the backdrop. And whilst this did seem to flow over for one particular musical number, for the most part, this was largely abandoned. They also had Jim Fowler, wildlife expert, bring animals into the studio so that animators could study the movements, the musculature, the fur, the playfulness. All this was then translated into the movie. The film also pioneered a certain type of 3D animation in a predominantly 2D film in a way that hadn't been done before. 3D had been used successfully a few years prior for Beauty and the Beast and Aladdin, but The Lion King took it to a whole new world. Level. The Wildebeest Stampede is still a wonder of early 3D animation. First, a 2D rendering was created to get the idea of what one running would look like. Then this was recreated digitally as a 3D model, approximating the frames in between to add fluidity to the movement. Then the wireframes were digitally painted, not dissimilarly from how a 2D image would be, so it would blend with a 2D environment. Then in order to simulate the chaos of a stampede, leaders and followers were created. The followers following the leader's path, whilst at the same time programmed not to collide with any other wildebeests. Then, a hidden 3D wireframe cliff was created over a 2D image to have the animals' running movement match that of their environment. Then, each was painted a different color so they'd stand out from each other and you could clearly see what each one was doing and how to position them to add danger or fill gaps or to increase intensity to the scene. Then, they were restored to a more natural coloring. Then, it was in the movie, and then that movie was released and people saw the movie. Nowadays, this kind of thing is used all the time. In animation, yes, but also in live action. You got your CGI armies and crowd scenes and zombies or whatever, but this was one of the earliest uses of whatever this technology is called. And considering how seamlessly it blends, and how long this would take if they did it with traditional animation, it borders on gosh darn magical. The Lion King also carried over one particular idea from Aladdin, but amplified it. That is the use of known actors in the voice cast. Robin Williams was the single mainstream voice from Aladdin, but The Lion King is full of known names that's mixed with talented vocal performers like that of Jim Cummings. We got James Earl Jones, we got Matthew Broderick, we got Whoopi Goldberg, we got Jonathan Tim the Toolman Taylor Thomas, to name a few. After this, it became more and more common for mainstream actors to be used in animation. For better or worse. Sometimes it fuels to the detriment of the movie and only serves as a way to plonk a big name on the poster. Looking at you, Valiant! Voice acting is such a specific skill, and it's not something that just any old performer can do. And yeah, like I said, it can impede on the film itself, like the time Will Smith was a fish or whatever. But look, that movie was probably going to be terrible regardless. The Lion King, however, seemed in general to pick the right actor for the right parts, and even imbued some physical characteristics of said actors into the character that they're voicing. Another first, probably, who's to say? So anyway, during this development process, it was realized that they had to change the title, because The Lion King was originally called King of the Jungle. But lions don't live in the jungle. Also, Bamlet became not only Hamlet and Bambi, but Moses and the hero's journey. The Lion King wasn't just this A to B to C narrative, it was a mixture of classic storytelling and myth, blended into an animated setting that we hadn't really seen before. This also meant that the movie was actually about something. Coming of age, family, sacrifice. And my favorite aspect of it, the core message. Hey! Step up, idiot! The Lion King hammers home that you have responsibility in your life. No matter how large or small your influence or impact may be on those around you, it is up to each individual to make that count. Sure, you could go your entire life playing video games. Playing in the jungle, living a pretty sweet existence, eating Doritos, bugs. Or you can see a wrong that needs to be righted and do that. And that can even be as small as just being there for somebody. Because here's the thing, responsibility sucks. Having people rely on you is difficult, but the alternative is you do nothing ever. Not even a small bunch of somethings, because it all adds up. And if you're not doing something, then what are you even doing at all? Also, death. The Lion King leans right into that. It leans in hard with a message that, yeah, the people that you love, they die, and you will never speak to them again. Unless, of course, you're an animated lion and then a cloud gives you a pep talk. But nobody is that. And that's okay, because the people important to you, they aren't ever really gone. They stay with you, and their positive impact impacts you. And then hopefully you impact others and so on and so forth. And then we all die, and new people show up. Hopefully, and they eat the grass, but then the lions eat them, and then the lions die, and the lions, then they're the grass. My point is, The Lion King is this wonderful mishmash of creative decisions and the right things happening at the right time. And sure, you can make a CGI approximation of it, but can it ever really be as good? Can lightning strike thrice? Now I say thrice because it's already struck twice. And I'm not talking about The Lion King 2, Simba's Pride. That movie sucks! The Lion King is thematically and visually considered to be by many, basically, the Japanese property, Kimba the White Lion. Now, yeah, there's a possibility that this is very much a coincidence, as most people associated with The Lion King swear that they never even heard of Kimba. And for the majority of them, yeah, I am happy to believe that. Except, though, it's weird, because Matthew Broderick said when he first heard of this project that he thought they were remaking Kimba the White Lion. And Roy Disney accidentally referred to Simba as Kimba on a private Disney message board before the film's release. Also, remember this concept art from the start of this video with the white lion? And get this! When a Kimba animated film that began production in 1989 was to be screened in 1997 for an American audience, Disney sent a cease and desist letter, which is weird because, a lot of ideas in that film, even though it came out after, come directly from the old comic it's based off, which The Lion King bears a striking resemblance to. Now, I'm not trying to diminish the great work done on The Lion King. It's a wonderful film. I mean, it explains death and responsibility to kids. And if these messages rang any truer, my head would split in two. I just think it's a little weird that Disney has never acknowledged Kimba as an inspiration. I mean, Simba and Kimba! Are you kidding me? This is the end of the video! Also, there's videos here every Sunday, Tuesday, and Thursday, including one on Marvel's Biggest Gamble that you might want to check out. I'll link that below. And also I have a podcast called The Weekly Planet, where every Monday we talk movies and comics and TV shows. This Monday, more Lion King stuff, no doubt. And also the big movie news of the week! But thanks for watching this. I appreciate ya. Take care.